Good morning, everyone. Phil here, and welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. Today is Saturday, the 30th of December, 2023. We've got about a day and a half left in this year until we leave it behind like a fart in the wind, and we move on to better-smelling pastures. What an amazing analogy I just made. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that you're all having a great weekend as we are essentially getting into a big week here of streaming for me, because I'm trying to wrap up multiple games, and today very much is that. Both games that I'm playing on stream today, we're right in the end of them, which is a great thing. You know, these have been playthroughs that have been going on now for over a month. Both of them I started either like late November, early December, and have been great playthroughs. Both RoboCop and Like a Dragon Gaiden have been what I've considered my chill playthrough games to break up crazy hectic games or things that are more stressful or rage-inducing. These have been the games that have kind of made it more relaxing in between those times, and I've really enjoyed them, but they are going on quite long. I mean, both playthroughs at this point are 20 hours or longer, roughly, and so it'll be good to finally head into the final content of these games, see what these games have to offer at the end, right? Also, today on the show, we got a big news story to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Bobby Kotick, the very long-time CEO of Activision Blizzard, is gone officially. He's out the door. And I want to talk about that a little bit because a lot of people don't seem to fully maybe understand the ramifications. They don't know who Bobby Kotick is or was, and they don't know what kind of an impact he had on the company. This is a guy who, to some, was a serious hero, a man who championed change and or movements of this company that allowed them to be the dynamo that they are. And to others, this guy was a heinous villain who didn't care anything for his employees or the internal culture of the company as long as it made profits and appeased the shareholders. So this guy was a big polarizing figure within the company. And now that he's gone, you got to wonder, like, what changes will happen to said company in the future as a result of him being, moving on. So we'll discuss this on the show in the news segment. Admittedly, outside of that, there's not much else to talk about. I would like to do a brief recap of what happened yesterday on my streams because I felt one stream went really well and one stream not so much. And talk about the future. Again, the year-end series are coming right around the corner next week. And by the way, this morning I was brainstorming what could I do with my background here for the next month, because I have now had this Christmas-themed background for quite some time. By the way, my chat froze. There we go, just unfroze. I've had this up since before, it was right before Thanksgiving, so it's been up for over a month. And I love the holidays, I love the winter vibes and the Christmas spirit, but at some point we got to say, okay, it's time to move on, whether it's like January 1st, this Monday, or maybe I just wait until the next full week, which would start on Friday. This stuff will go away, the snow will go away, and we will move back to a regular rotating setup. I will say this, I want to thank you all because this last year has been great. If you haven't noticed all the improvements, first a new camera, new backlighting, new setups, and things that I've been decorating this office with that look nice and gaming related. In fact, I used to get so many requests for a green screen. All the time, people would be like, Phil, your setup looks terrible. Get a green screen. Your lighting's bad. Your camera's fuzzy. If you had a green screen, at least it would just be you in front of the game, right? But since I made these changes just about a year ago, and it was a slow change because first it was the camera, then it was the background lighting, then it was the setup of the background, and then after that, I had to figure out the coloring, because actually the coloring was all screwed up until like March. And then March of this year, I got it right, and now I look like a human, and everyone's like, oh my God, like this is like way better than what Phil used to do, right? So I just want to thank you all, because the slow improvements via your feedback and input make this stuff better. And this year, every month, I made an effort to make this background look a little different. I have all these artworks that are all from the back in the day, over 10 years ago, when I used to be prominent on YouTube, and I used to go to conventions, and I had tons of money to blow. So I would just go right to the artist's alley of whatever convention I was at, and I'd be like, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one, let's take them home. And it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I didn't care. I felt like it's going to a good cause. It's supporting artists, right? And then I would have these hanging in the background of my condo, sometimes in shots or during projects and stuff that I was doing. But then for a while, they just sat in storage. They literally sat in my closet or whatever. Then I took them out and I hung them in my hallway. But for the most part, these pieces of art remained hidden from the public eye for a decade. Yeah, pretty much. And then all of a sudden, I had the idea over the course of the last year. I was like, let's bring these out. Let's show this awesome artwork to the public. Why am I hiding this when it looks so nice and it would look great on camera, right? Why would I hide this from the public? I don't know why I did. I just didn't really think about it, right? So now that we've got the opportunity and a way to showcase this stuff, it's been really neat. Just saying 2 Mega Man pictures. There's the Super Mario Brothers 1, the ginormous Super Mario Brothers 3 that I had in the month of April. The giant one's orange, yellowish, and it's like huge and barely fits on camera. And then we got the Ninja Gaiden and the Punch Out, right? And then over the course of the year, I added new things. Instead of just this ghost lamp, we got the new Game Over lamp that I alternate with. And then I have that new picture that says blame it on the lag, which I think is actually kind of neat, because I play online games right now that I blame on lag all the time when I lose. So it's kind of pertinent, right? So it's been nice to have that alternating. And I was thinking, gee, come this either Monday or next week on Friday, I'm probably going to be swapping it out again. I'm thinking, what should I do next? And I'm like, well, I've shown everything. At this point, you've seen all the art. It's just a matter of like alternating it around in a way that it doesn't look the same, every month. This month we had the Christmas stuff. In October we had Halloween stuff. Over the summer for August we had my 15th anniversary, so I had my 15th anniversary t-shirts that were there. In the month of June we had Blanca and my Blanca t-shirt from Street Fighter showing there for the launch of Street Fighter 6. So it's cool that I can kind of have that pertinent stuff when these kind of special things happen. So I'm debating, what to do for January. I don't know. I was thinking maybe just doing all 8-bit stuff, like maybe do 1 Mega Man and one Mario, combine that, get rid, the ghost could go away for a month, could bring back the Game Over sign. Anyway, you'll see. Someone had a great idea halfway through the year. They said you could go online and they have these, and I forgot exactly what the name of it is, but it's like these boxes that would be like think about the size of this or maybe a little smaller, but it's an LED box. And what it is, made of little LED lights, and you can actually program that with like a computer. So like I could probably not my desktop because my desktop's so outdated, but maybe like with my mini PC or my laptop, you could program it to say stuff. Like you could say the date on it and it could say stuff on it, like Mega Man playthrough or something. Like let's say, for example, I'm going to play RoboCop. It could actually say RoboCop Rogue City Endgame on it when I go to play the game, right? How cool would that be? I think that would be pretty darn neat to actually have a background that's pertinent to what I'm doing on said stream, where it could say the Level 1 podcast or something like that, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. Of course, to cost money. And that's why, it was around the middle of the year it was suggested. I thought, it's a good idea. And then it just kind of slipped my mind, and now we're thinking, new year, new spruced up stuff, right? That could be pretty cool. In addition, another thing that I'm thinking about is, as we talked about yesterday for the new year, the possibility of bringing back lost media. And that's one of the commitments I want to make to you guys, that in some way the lost media content of mine that is not on the internet right now in any kind of coherent capacity, because I'm sure there's some people who ripped it or whatever, but it's not officially anywhere easy to find. And I'm talking about my Final Fantasy 13 playthrough, my Red Dead Redemption 1 original playthrough, the original Undead Nightmare co-op playthrough, the Suicide Kings online co-op gameplay, and LA Noir's original playthrough. All those from way back in the day, over 10 years ago, that are lost to time because those channels were deleted from YouTube. I have all of that, plus a few additional things as well, like lost vlogs and a few lost gameplay elements that I never uploaded. And yesterday we talked about this on the show, that I'd like to try to commit to you guys that in some way, shape, or form, I'll have that for you on the internet in this coming year to check out. Now, I know a lot of people won't care, but there's been demand for the old lost content for a long time. In fact, what I would say is, what would be neat would be if I could have a rebranded or a new YouTube channel catered just towards that content, right? And instead of just uploading it maybe in the 15-minute parts, maybe it could be a more digestible content. You know, instead of 10-minute videos, 30-minute videos. Each one actually has a thumbnail, right? It's in a playlist. Maybe it has a title that actually is appropriate to the content in that video, rather than it just being part 1, part 5, part 10, because that's how the playthroughs were back then. There was none of that descriptive content, nor no thumbnails, nothing on anything, right? But in addition to that, you know, I've been getting some ideas. People have been contacting me behind the scenes about ideas. They're like, if you have a retro-themed channel, right, what you could do is and again, you can maybe go back there and just do like a random vlog or do like a random video about what was it like back in the day being a YouTuber. What were the major differences between YouTube of yesteryear versus YouTube of today? You know, what were the practices that you used when you created content? What was common? What was popular back then versus now that's different? You know, talking about my early life, you know, back then in my late 20s, being kind of a weird guy, just putting a camera in front of the TV, traveling around, going to conventions and what it was like then. You know what I mean? And that could be pretty cool because it would all tie into the old content that I'm uploading on that channel. So it wouldn't just be a few old playthroughs, but it also would have other retro style stuff on there, right? Maybe I could go back and do a series of reacts to like old vlogs and things. Like I go back and watch my old vlogs about me going to conventions and or stuff like that and just react to it, you know? And that could be the theme of the channel. I've been around for 15 years. Not necessarily that's content that people would want to see on a modern channel, but on an older channel where the whole theme is throwback Phil, because he's been around for so long. For the longtime fans, it could be like a love letter to those who've watched that content for 15 years and say, here's pure fan service for you, right? So I like the idea. The question is how to implement it without taking so much time away from my other stuff that I'm already doing. Because any time that I put towards that kind of content means taking time away from making new content. You see? And that's been my challenge this year with the React channel, is that my original idea for the React channel was not only once a week DSP versus the internet, the React show that I do now to clips, but doing long-form Reacts. And I loved doing the long-form Reacts. You know, we did a bunch of them earlier this year, to the Pro Jared documentary, to the Second Wings of Redemption documentary, to the Internet Historian YouTube channel, and a few others as well. But basically, it always took time away from me doing gameplay, and people started to complain that the gameplay was suffering. It was taking too long for me to get through playthroughs, and they know me for gameplay. Why I have 2 days a week where there's no gameplay, right? And only 4 days a week where it's gameplay, and people were upset. So I think it's all about finding that balance between, but I am strongly considering starting in the next couple of weeks to thinking about rebranding or a new channel. I have to figure this out. I really have to think about, you know, how it would work and basically start finding a way to upload the old content, you know, busting out those hard drives out of the closet, beginning to get that stuff uploaded. And seeing how long it takes, too, because that's another thing. Like, I can easily just have it upload overnight, but I don't know how long it's going to take. Those video files are huge, you know? So there's a lot to think about, but I'm definitely interested in doing that since people have been asking for ages. And if people are buying in that they're going to at least check it out. I'm not saying I'm expecting thousands of views on those videos. I'm expecting like a couple hundred. You know what I'm saying? But At least so that content isn't lost media forever and people can enjoy those playthroughs, slowly over time. Um, what if I were ever to go back and redo my Final Fantasy 13 playthrough? I've already redone LA Noire and Red Dead Redemption. So maybe you could do like a then versus now comparison, right? Taking the content from the old playthrough versus the new playthrough and do side-by-side comparison. Look how the difference was, and the commentary style and everything. It's all fascinating stuff. I just don't know how much of an audience that stuff would appeal to. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this is all stuff to expect coming up in the new year. Definitely the background changes happening this week coming up. And then after that, I got to start thinking and working on this kind of retro throwback idea of the lost media and go from there. This is just a few of the things coming, by the way. As I've told you guys yesterday on the podcast, I have some interesting ideas and or projects in the works. I'm not ready to reveal them all to you right now. Like I said, I'm the kind of guy that I don't want to spoil or tease too much because that's like gets so much anticipation building, and then if you don't deliver on that anticipation, then it's disappointing, right? So I'm not even going to tell you about the other stuff, but there are other things in process that are being worked on right now. And I'm going to see how that goes, how it happens, and I think it's going to be exciting stuff. Some of the stuff you guys have wanted for ages. So we'll see. All right, but we'll see. All right, that's all I'm going to say. We'll see about that. Anyway, so. Oh, and by the way, because some people have said, what about the original Dark Side Phil channel? I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I'm never touching that channel. That channel, I want it to just be as it is, as like a historical archive of my original time on YouTube, and that's it. And you might say, well, why don't you put the content there? I just don't want to mess with it. You got to understand something. That channel is not monetized or whatever. It can't be. That content that I made back then frequently had music and artwork and things in it that were copywritten. So that was because that was before the era you could even monetize content on YouTube that was gameplay related. So I don't want to mess with it at all. Because imagine now I start to upload content, but now I'd like to monetize that. Oh, you can't because there's this and that. And, it's not worth it. I literally want to leave that channel completely alone and just let it be there as an archive of content forever. And by the way, don't worry, because remember, if anything ever did happen to that channel, I have all the videos. We confirmed that. I literally confirmed when we went through those hard drives last year. They're all there. So if that channel ever did have something bad happen to it, I could re-upload elsewhere. I just don't want to have to do that. I'd prefer to just have that channel stay there forever. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's continue. So, guys, let's talk about yesterday's streams. First of all, Baldur's Gate 3 yesterday went really well again. This time around, I left the Underdark, and we had gone to the Hag's Swamp last stream before and done all the swamp content and even beat the hag in her boss fight. So yesterday we completed that quest line and got an outcome for, I forgot her name, Marina or something like that, whatever her name is. We got an outcome for her and her family. Then we continued back to the Druid Village and had a big showdown at the Druid Village with the information we had uncovered in the swamp regarding the Shadow Druids. Then after that, we went towards and entered the Goblin Camp, and that was fun. So there was just a lot going on plot-wise, and it's funny because I get to the Goblin Camp and all the enemies are level 2. And I'm like, huh? People are like, yeah, technically, for those who kind of steamroll the game, they just follow the quest markers. They don't explore like I did. Like, I completely explored all the area. I found all these optional areas and things to check out. But most people kind of just follow the quest markers around, and the enemies are kind of scaled in order of the questing. So we're getting to the Goblin Camp, and they're level 2. I'm level 4. It's like, well, this isn't very challenging, right? There's not much you can do about that. But I had a good time still. The plot advancing and everything was great. Fully, entertaining and great stream, great support. Everything was amazing. Last night's Street Fighter stream, Friday Night Fights, was the return to Lily. I actually checked. The last time I had used Lily was October 10th. So you were talking, it was 2.5 months ago was the last time that I had actually touched the character. The good news is I remembered how to play with her almost entirely. There was some rough spots where I was doing the wrong moves and or wrong things to juggle. And that's because I'm rusty. But the majority of matches, I was actually remembering how to play, what to do, combos and everything. The bad news is there's two major problems with Street Fighter 6. It's the same problem I had with Dalsim and the same problem I had with Blanca last week. Number one, The connections in general have gotten worse. They're not as good as they were back when I was playing this game June, July, August. Okay, probably because the player base has been dramatically reduced because it's not a new game anymore. And you will notice the vast majority of matches that I'm playing are cross-play, meaning the person I'm playing on the other end is playing on PC, and they have advantage. They have less input drops, less input delay, and the netcode favors that. So, for example, if I'm facing someone who is using a top-tier character, and they're literally just walking forward and saying, jab, 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 throw, jab, throw, 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 jab, throw, they will get their inputs most of the time. If I'm trying to react to that pattern, which I do because I'm not using top-tier characters who can do that kind of gameplay, if I try to react, I'm more apt to get my inputs dropped, delayed, or coming out as something else because rollback netcode favors repeated spam over something timed well to counter the repeated spam. Okay? So that's the problem, is everyone now has settled into like a top-tier character. They know their spam pattern that they can get away with online, and they just do it ad nauseum. This reminds me of back in the day in the mid-2000s when GGPO netcode first launched, all right? And people were playing games like Super Turbo and other games on there, and I saw people who normally were not good at these games offline, all of a sudden were becoming dominant online for spamming shit like that. And I called this out. I called out this netcode with Tony Cannon, the inventor of the netcode. I said, why is it dropping inputs? Why is it favoring the spammers? And explain, because that's how it is. It's a predictive netcode. And I said, well, then why don't you come out and tell everyone that? He says, because I want to sell the code and make money. So I don't want to, we don't want to highlight the negatives of the code. We only want to talk about the positives. So the game looks better because it doesn't look like it's lagging, but the gameplay overall favors online spammers. It's shit. But people don't want to hear that. The FGC definitely does not want to hear that. Instead, they just want to believe that this is the optimal netcode. It's not. You could definitely have better netcode, but no one's made an effort to do that. No one. Everyone just says, oh, rollback's the best, rollback's the best, put rollback in everything. Okay? The other problem with Street Fighter 6 now is that the game's 7 months old. And in 7 months, what happens is everyone settles in to their own style of playing one character constantly and just learning that abusive pattern, and that doesn't make the game fun anymore. It just doesn't, like when a game is fresh and new and everyone's trying new characters and new strategies and no one really knows what they're doing, the game's a lot more interesting. When you start to get to that 3-4 month level where people are kind of getting their stride with certain characters, it's fun. When you get to month 7, 8, now it's like all I do is I turn on the game and I fucking pick Camby and I go jab, 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 throw, jab, 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 throw, jump, jab, 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 jab. That's just not fun anymore, because what it means is it's more like you're rolling the dice on, will you get lucky? Will I get lucky and have my move come out to stop the abusive pattern? Roll. As if I'm playing D&D. Oh, darn. I hit critical miss, or what? You lose. And there's nothing you can really do about that. That's how the game is now, right? So for me, someone who doesn't play the game all the time, what am I playing it? Once a week, twice a week tops, if that. Not playing the dominant top-tier characters who can do those abusive spam strategies. Literally, the 3 characters I'm playing don't have abusive spam strategies. And that's what I like. I've never liked characters who are completely abusive with spam and shit like that. I think it's fucking boring, and I don't find that entertaining to play. I just never have. Why do you think I always use the oddball characters like Blanca or the grapplers like fucking Zengi? Because they're so different, right? So, did I have fun last night? I did. Because some of the matches with Lily, I had a great time. I'm beating top-tier players with low-tier Lily. But overall, I lost way more than I won. I think the stats were like, I only won like 21, 22 matches, and I lost like 35 or something. That's awful. But there's nothing I can do about that. I can't improve the experience. The vast majority of matches I'm playing, you will see, are crossplay. Meaning the person I'm playing on the other end has a natural advantage by playing on PC. They're not getting input drops like me. They can break throws. That's another critical thing. I can't break throws. When someone goes to throw me, I can know it's coming, and unless I mash the buttons early before the throw animation is actually on my TV, I cannot break a throw because I'm on PlayStation. If I were on PC, I could break throws because the input delay is less, but the input delay is too strong on PlayStation to actively break throws without predicting it ahead of time. That's a huge problem. That's a ginormous disadvantage, especially when I have characters who get caught in throw loops. So, Anyway, I still had a good time, and people do come out for it, but I'll say this. Definitely the engagement's lower now. Like, people half the time aren't paying attention to the matches. Usually what happens when I do Friday Night Fights, within the first 20 minutes, a bunch of people show up and will support. Like, I'll tip, I'll do a super chat. As soon as I start playing, done. Like, as if I'm not playing. Just dead. So, that's the thing. Like, I definitely can tell it's time that people want me to move on from Street Fighter 6 and do something different. Tekken is now in less than a month. Tekken 8 comes out January 26th, and that will be an extensive coverage of the story, me trying out characters in training, going online, trying to learn said characters. I'll be watching gameplay videos and things of Tekken 8 to try to learn techniques and the like. I would hope that Tekken community will put out some good basic videos to show gameplay elements, because I've been so out of the competitive Tekken scene for so long that I don't even remember half the things. So to actually watch some basic videos on like how to parry. I don't even remember how to parry in that game. Isn't it like you tap down forward perfectly timed with a move and it like pushes the move away and then you can get a counter hit or something like that? See what I mean? Like, I don't even know. I haven't played it in so dang long that I would have to figure this out. And it'll probably take a while, but I would like to at least give it a shot and see how it goes, all right? But I think that will take over for Street Fighter for a bit, and then after that, whether I continue to play Tekken or we go back to Street Fighter or we start with Fightcade, old school retro stuff, I do think that the future of fighting games is bright here on DSP Gaming. It's just a matter of the future's uncertain. We don't know what we're going to be doing. I tell you this, it ain't going to be full-time Street Fighter 6 at this rate, with how the game has essentially degraded in the last few months. I really don't feel like doing anything like that, you know? So anyway, so that was all yesterday. All right, let's talk quickly about the schedule for the week. Today, it's going to be Endgame of RoboCop Rogue City. We are in the midst of an action-packed mission, and from what I'm being told, there's like 9 story missions left. But what you have to remember about RoboCop is that frequently you'll be doing a story mission, and all of a sudden, right in the middle of story, you get another story mission that continues on. So it'll be like, investigate the warehouse. You get to the warehouse, then all of a sudden, okay, follow the criminal. Well, that's mission 2. You see? Like, these are different mission objectives. So if there's 9 mission objectives left in the game, today we'll probably get pretty far. But the question is, will we beat it? And that I can't answer. I don't know if we're going to beat the game today or not. Probably not, I would think. From people who've played the game, they're like 2, maybe even 3 streams depending. So let's see. I'm in no rush. If we get far enough in RoboCop today that it looks like, oh, if we just do a quick night stream, we'll beat it, then I want to beat it on Sunday night, just to have the playthrough done, and we can move on to other things. But if it's going to take another major stream, then we'll just do this as the daytime stream on Tuesday and give it the time it needs. And even if we don't finish it then, we can always do another daytime stream next week. Don't worry. I'm going to give RoboCop the time it needs. I know that we haven't played it for a week because of the holiday. But we're going to finish it up in a good fashion and not basically cheat the viewers who've been following this playthrough all along of getting a good ending. Now, on tonight's late stream at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Time, it is Like a Dragon Gaiden Endgame. What we have left in the game is, number 1, the final 3 Coliseum fights that are big boss fights called the 4 Kings. We already beat the first king, so we have 3 more to go. But from what I'm to understand, these fights get progressively more grindy and tough, so I may have to do some other Platinum match level stuff in order to level my characters up so that they can actually do these matches. Now, I want to do them because not only is there an achievement, but it's kind of the final major side story of the game. We've done every major side story in Like a Dragon Gaiden, so we might as well try to do this one too, okay? So that's my goal, is to try to get through the 4 Kings tonight. If we can't, well, whatever, but I hope I can beat them all. After that, there's story, and my wife basically told me, because she beat this game a few weeks ago, there's about 3 hours of story left, okay? So depending on how long it takes to beat the 4 Kings, that will determine how much time we need to beat the game and how many late streams, etc. So let's see how it goes tonight, all right? And based off of that, we'll judge, if there needs another stream or a couple of streams coming up the next week to wrap it up. But we will be doing Endgame of both RoboCop and Like a Dragon Gaiden today. Now, tomorrow, okay, is my React Day, my weekly day where we do DSP versus the Internet over on my sister channel, DSP Reacts. And if you remember, this is a great show where we do all kinds of clips from all over the internet. If you're a member over there, please submit your clips, because at the end of tonight's late stream, that's when I'm going to be doing the playlist for tomorrow's show. So this is your basically right now, and then through tonight's late stream, you still have time to nominate clips, but after that, you can't post up anymore because it's going to be closed off. And then tomorrow is the show, It should be great. It's the last one of 2023, episode 45. That's right. I did 45 episodes of this show over the course of 2023. That's pretty crazy, huh, to think? It's a lot of episodes. So, hope you'll join me for that tomorrow on the sister channel. And then tomorrow night on the late stream, if we can beat RoboCop, let's do that. But if not, what I would like to do on Sunday night's late night stream is actually begin Sea of Stars. This is the game that won Indie Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Apparently, it is very highly regarded by JRPG fans. It plays very similarly to Chrono Trigger. That sounds good to me. I want to check out this game. This is potentially my next major playthrough on the channel, balanced with Resident Evil 0 over January. So I want to see what it's all about. So I think we can start it tomorrow night on the late stream, see what it's like. If it's something that is similar to Chrono Trigger, has an intriguing story and gameplay elements, then great. If I play it for 2 hours and I'm like, I don't really like it, I don't get the hoopla, then maybe we won't play. All right? But I want to jump into it to see what it is. I missed it. You know, I didn't get to play it during the summer. I was busy with other stuff, namely playing the original Chrono Trigger, right? So let's start it tomorrow night. Again, if it's not possible to beat RoboCop, and we'll go from there. Monday, it'll be more Baldur's Gate 3 on the first stream and more Street Fighter on the late stream. This time, I will be going back to Blanca for a bit, okay? Tuesday, daytime stream's up in the air. If we need another RoboCop stream, it'll be RoboCop. If we don't, then it might be the beginning of Resident Evil 0 Remastered, the other playthrough I'll be doing in January. Tuesday night, again, if we need more time for Like a Dragon Gaiden, which it probably will, it'll be Like a Dragon Gaiden. If not, more Sea of Stars. And then Wednesday, more Baldur's Gate. And likely Wednesday night, just for variety, maybe some Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. But if people are bored, then we could do Sea of Stars. We could do something else. Maybe we need a night stream to wrap up either RoboCop or Like a Dragon. We'll do that. So I like having the Wednesday nights opened as like a possibility of something, but not committed, because that way we have the ability, flexibility to finish up stuff during the week, right? So there you go. That's the week. Next week, the difference will be that outside of Friday night, because on Friday night it's going to be Friday Night Fights. Saturday night of next week, so 1 week from today, will probably be my most disappointing games of 2023 countdown. And then probably that Monday night will be my Game of the Year awards. And then probably that Wednesday night will be the fan-voted best playthroughs of 2023. I think I'm going to space it out like that, so that each night we can have a stream where I can take about an hour, hour and a half to do my countdowns and explain my reasoning for each game. And then get your takes on it. You guys will contribute as well and speak back, and, you know, we'll have conversation back and forth about the games, what you thought about them, if you agree or disagree with my takes on them. Speaking of the fan-voted best playthroughs of 2023, please continue to nominate stuff for it. Right now, it was Blastoise91 just typed in the command. It's exclamation point best of 2023. If you type that up in the chat, you'll get the link for the community post earlier this month. Please nominate your favorite playthroughs of the year. It could be something for the beginning of the year everyone forgot. It could be one of the biggest games of the year that everyone remembers. It could be a playthrough that I'm currently doing right now, right? Please nominate, because this coming probably Monday night, I'm going to tally up all of your nominations, find the games that were most nominated, and those are going to hit like a top 10 poll where you're going to vote on what were the best playthroughs of the year. I might even split it up among 2 posts, because I think I might have to. And so for a week you'll vote, and then we're actually going to run those down in order of who got the least to most votes, and those will be like the top 10 playthroughs of the year, and we'll explore them, you know? So please do. All right, that's great. I'm excited for that year-end content, and then after that's done, that first week of January, we go wholeheartedly into the new playthroughs, balanced with Baldur's Gate 3. Okay? Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my favorite segment. It is time for your favorite segment. It is time for everyone's favorite segment, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for DSP News. And today, it is the talk about the removal? Is that the right word for it? I don't think so. The moving on, the sunsetting of Bobby Kotick as the CEO of Activision Blizzard. And let's talk a little bit about this. For those who don't know, Bobby Kotick's been the CEO of Activision Blizzard for quite some time. So for those who really would like to look at this and say, oh, we hate this guy because of this reason, and this reason. For as much as you can basically say that, you could also look at Bobby Kotick and say, well, technically, He's actually responsible for this good thing, and this good thing. For example, a lot of people actually say that he was one of the champions spearheading the original creation of Overwatch in 2016, when a lot of people internal to the company were like, we don't think that Overwatch will work. It's a first-person shooter. We don't make first-person shooters, right? We're known for top-down strategy games. We're known for variations on that formula, you know, so you're talking Warcraft, you're talking Diablo. We're also known for MMOs now because of World of Warcraft, right? You know, we're known for first-person shooters in Call of Duty, the biggest game of almost pretty much every single year. Why on earth would we make a team-based first-person shooter with more cartoony characters similar to, say, Team Fortress? How is that going to work? And you know, the weird part about that, when you really think about it, is that it probably shouldn't have worked. There were other companies that tried the exact same idea. That same year that Overwatch came out in 2016, also Battleborn came out. And that game was a tremendous failure and flop. No one played it. It just came out and it died within a year. It was already offline. Servers were disconnected. So for every time that you have someone who has a crazy idea and says maybe it'll work, there's a ton of companies that try the same thing and it doesn't work, right? So when you look at the situation, Bobby Kotick, for the fact that he was the CEO of Activision Blizzard for so long, he must have been doing something right, right? There's no way that someone would be in charge of a company for that long, making horrendous choices, and would still be in power. For example, take a look at the guy who did the launch of Xbox One, right? I'm trying to remember his name right now. I'm sure a bunch of people are now going to flood the chat with the guy who launched Xbox One, the guy who said, oh, if you don't have an internet connection, we have a console for you. It's the Xbox 360. Oh, we don't want... Oh, Don Matrick. I just remembered his name. Don Matrick, right? This guy was in charge of Xbox for a while. He launches the Xbox One. It tanks, and he's out of there. You know, and it's funny because Microsoft didn't act like they fired him. They absolutely forced him out. And he got his ass tossed out, you know, because then they had to try to recover from that. Bobby Kotick doesn't really have a Don Matrick track record. You know, if he did, and he was the CEO for as long as he was, I think everyone would be like, what the hell's going on at this company? How could you leave this guy in charge? You have to understand that under Don Matrick's tenure as the CEO, this company became the #1 company in the world for first-person shooters. Call of Duty became the most prominent first-person shooter ever and continued to hold that spot against heavy opposition. You know, you had your Battlefields and the Battlefield spinoffs. You had variations of Halo and games like that. You even had the co-op games that, when Battle Royale, right, got humongous. Call of Duty still held its own. And then it implemented its own Battle Royale with Black Ops 4 Blackout and then later on Warzone, right? So obviously, this guy knew some stuff, you know? Take a look at other games that, you know, admittedly you would think a game like World of Warcraft, right? That became completely outdated. And there were so many other MMOs that have come out during this last 10 to 15 years. And you would think that World of Warcraft would have faded into obscurity and maybe never been talked about. Or no, World of Warcraft persists. There's still expansions. The game still has a vibrant community. It's certainly not the biggest community for MMOs, but it still continues to be successful. And as much as you can criticize that Diablo 3 and now Diablo 4 just don't hold a candle to the original two, they still were sales dynamos that sold a ton of copies and made this company a bunch of money, and the expansions continue to roll out and sell, right? So even though you look at this guy negatively and be like, well, you know, what about all the drama shit? The guy's doing the right thing. And you might say, well, I don't really get it because what about all the negatives, right? Let's focus on the negatives, but then let's overall focus on why he was there for so long. What about all the negatives under Bobby Kotick, right? So number one, the entire culture of Activision Blizzard being overworked, underpaid, underutilized, under-rewarded, right? Everyone at the company kind of collectively agrees this guy didn't really value the employees. He basically treated them like a cog in a machine, right? Work your ass off. The whole grind culture, the whole, you know, crunch culture, that was mandatory at Activision Blizzard. These games were always like that, and there was nothing you could really do about it. You just deal with it or you don't work there, right? Like, that was part of it. Right? In addition, all the cultural stuff that apparently happened under him. Apparently, I've used this reference before, and a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people said that Activision Blizzard under Bobby Kotick became a good old boys club. What does that mean? It means that there's an upper echelon of people in the company that become untouchable. They're basically it's like almost like a fraternity. They're in charge. They're the ones who are kind of testing everyone under them constantly for loyalty. They'll do whatever they want. They'll treat them however they want. They're untouchable, and don't ever say or do anything negative to them. I mean, take a look at some of the stuff that's been uncovered over this guy's tenure. They were going to gaming conventions, and they would rent a hotel room, and they would have a picture of Bill Cosby in the hotel room and call it the Cosby Room, and make jokes about how Bill Cosby sexually abused women by drugging them, and then make jokes about having women in that room, and there's rumors that exactly happened. They would bring women into the room and essentially have their way with them. Wow, that's something great for a CEO to know about and be involved with, isn't it? There were reports of, people being abused at the company, both emotionally and even sexually. And there's lawsuits. In fact, they just settled a giant lawsuit this last couple of weeks ago that was ongoing for years about mistreatment of employees internally. Now, you don't know the outcome of the details because it's all been sealed. It won't be public record. I mean, I guess maybe at least for a while. I don't know how the law works. But yeah, they settled. They paid a ton, millions and millions of dollars to employees for mistreatment. Do you think they would do that if it was all a lie? Of course not, right? And I mean, just case in point. Let's take a look at Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 that just came out a month and a half, 2 months ago. The game is literally Modern Warfare 2 with a skin put over it and new maps that aren't new maps. They're just throwback maps to the original Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. Minimal effort. It's exactly the same netcode with exactly the same problems. The skill-based matchmaking has the exact same problems. It has all these problems online. The game just isn't very good. Still the best-selling FPS of the year, right? But the game's just not very good. And when you analyze it on paper, how did we get to this point? The answer is simple. Even the devs have admitted it. We were given about a year to a year and a half to make this game. We weren't given a full dev cycle to make this game. We were told to rush it. Even though we knew that it wasn't that good, we were told to pump it out and rush it for profits. We don't want to make a bad game. We're just forced to. Guess who's in charge of those decisions? Bobby Kotick. He's the one who is the CEO. He green stamps or red stamps things and is the one who says yes or no ultimately. So I want you to think about this. If this guy's the CEO and there's all these reports of awful internal negative, debilitating culture, crunch, that the employees hate their jobs and lives, and they're just forced into these awful situations where there's an untouchable upper echelon of this company that can do nothing wrong so they can abuse the employees. They're having Bill Cosby rooms at conventions. The games are being rushed out and they suck, but it doesn't matter. Like, why would this guy have been in charge for so long? And ultimately, there's only one answer that makes any sense. This, money. Because what's happened is in the last 20 years, Activision Blizzard went from a company that was known as the company that makes great artistic games to the company that makes the games that make the most money. And that's the change that happened under Bobby Kotick. Because you might say, well, I don't get it. If they're not making great games, why are they so popular? Marketing, positioning, hype, lack of competition, or at least competent competition. There's a lot of factors involved here. For as much as we can say negatively about Bobby Kotick, we cannot deny the fact this guy is a shrewd, smart businessman. He knew how to position his company and release products in a way that basically they would be the dominant products in said market. When he released Overwatch, he knew there was going to be competition, but he released it with enough money, marketing, and things put into it that it would always be the prominent Team Fortress 2 spinoff that would be showcased. And all the other ones, like Battleborn and a couple others, no one even knew they existed. They just got swept right under the rug, because when you heard Activision Blizzard was making a game like that, that's all you heard of. So Overwatch becomes dominant and prominent, right? That's Bobby Kotick. That's what he was good at. You understand? So for all the awful things that he did internally, as a businessman, this guy actually was a great businessman. And you might say, well, I don't get it, because if there's so many complaints against things going on in the company, how could he remain in power? Weren't there lawsuits out the ass? Yes, there were lawsuits out the ass. That's what they just settled. But the thing is, he stayed in power because of the shareholders. For those who don't know, publicly traded companies have something called shareholders. These are people who actually own the company. In part, you own stock, and the stock is a percentage ownership of said company. So even if all these reports are coming out, the employees are upset, there's too much crunch, there's sexual abuse, the management's untouchable and is very much misbehaving. But if every year your company is making record profits, and those profits are then being given as dividends to the stockholders who own the company, meaning they're getting paid directly for the performance of the company, what motivation would those people who are now getting filthy rich have to change the management of the company? Right? They're making so much money. They don't give a shit. So they ignore all the moral issues within the company and say, as long as this company is printing money for us, we don't give a shit if anyone gets mistreated. And that's exactly what has happened over the last 10 to 15 years at Activision Blizzard. Now, what did it take to have a change in that mentality? Microsoft bought them out. That's literally what it took. Microsoft stepped up with so much money that the stockholders couldn't resist. They were like, wait a minute, you're going to even give us even more money than if Bobby Kotick stayed in power? Yes, and then some. We're going to buy you out for so much money that Bobby Kotick will be an afterthought. You'll never even care that he was in charge and made you the money he did, because we're going to go over the top to purchase your company, okay? And that's exactly what happened. All these stockholders took a giant payday, essentially, from the Microsoft buyout. So now Microsoft says, we don't want Bobby Kotick in charge anymore. We want him out. We're going to put our own people into these positions of power at the company, and we're going to run it how we want to run it, right? And a lot of people are happy about that, right? And so now they can get rid of Bobby Kotick. But the thing is, does Bobby Kotick now get the axe? Does Bobby Kotick does security go to Bobby Kotick's office, kick the door in, take these billy clubs, start smashing everything in his office, pick him up by the scruff of his neck, and say, get the fuck out, you piece of shit, and throw him out into the street in the big boxes of papers flittering in the wind? No. Do you know what Bobby Kotick gets? A golden parachute. He's received a $200 million payout to leave the company, and on top of that, other benefits. People are actually estimating he might actually get a total of $400 million just to leave Activision Blizzard. What kind of a world do we live in? This guy gets paid so much money. No exaggeration. His annual salary that he was receiving could have paid 1,000 employees under him. Do you think that he really deserved that much money? But again, the stockholders are making so much money, they want him to stay in power, so they keep paying him that much money so that he'll stay there and make them more money. It's just an endless cycle of greed, and the only people getting hurt are the employees and us, the end users of the content, who are like, why is the game not as good anymore? That's why. Because it became all about that endless cycle of greed rather than the quality of the product or the art of the product or whatever you want to say should have been the focus. It wasn't anymore. You see? So now, Bobby Kotick is getting, well, he's not getting thrown out. He's just being told leave. And by the way, here's a lot of money to leave. And of course, a lot of people have issue with that. Now, here's the funny part, all right? Officially, as of today, it's the first day that Activision Blizzard is no longer under Bobby Kotick's leadership. He's gone. He left yesterday, okay? Normally, when someone like this leaves a company, you would have an outpouring of people from over the years who would basically be coming out and saying, well, here I want to reminisce about my work with Bobby Kotick and you know, the good times we had and all the good work he did for the company and stuff like that, like testimonials to the nature of how this guy was a good guy for the company and for everyone else. Literally, journalists are going all around, interviewing people at the company, asking around. Literally, no one has made a positive testimonial about Bobby Kotick. Everyone either does this, zip, and says, I have no comment, or says, well, now that he's gone, now I can tell you, actually, here's some of the stuff that's happened over the years. There has been a story that he actually didn't like an employee so much, he threatened to kill them. Now, do I believe that that is true and that he actually was going to murder an employee? No. But can you imagine if you're someone who's working at this company and you're told by your CEO, or you heard through the grapevine that your CEO wishes you were dead? Because I think that's really what it was, is that he wished someone was dead because they were causing him problems. How would that make you feel? Exactly, right? And that's just one example. There's people who basically said that they spoke up against something or whatever, and basically this guy would come down on them for having any kind of a speaking up against what this guy had intended that the company should be doing. Even if what they were saying was backed by facts. Saying, I don't think this will work because you want to do it, but what about this, what about this, what about this? He would just, shove it down. In fact, here's a funny thing, and this is documented. So, you remember last year, we had the release of Overwatch 2. You remember how bad that launch was, that the game did not work at launch. And I continuously tried to play that game for another 2 weeks after launch and literally could never play it. You remember this, correct? Bobby Kotick blamed all the negative press about Activision Blizzard on that. He was claiming that the reason that Activision Blizzard had a very bad reputation in the press was because Overwatch 2 had a bad launch. Not because at the same time he was embroiled in multiple controversies, multiple lawsuits. He was, it's not me, it's Overwatch 2. And it's documented. There's internal, he wrote emails, he gave all hands meetings where he said this publicly. That's what our problem is. It's Overwatch 2. It screwed us over. Not him. So to him, he's immune to anything. He didn't do shit, right? It was always just this one game was the scapegoat for all the negativity thrown towards the company. So that's just a couple examples, all right? So overall, the Bobby Kotick situation is just kind of representative of what has happened in American corporate America in the last 15 or so years. What's happened is we've had a shift from companies that are a balance of, yes, we're here to make money, but along the way we have to be sure that we're kind of being morally responsible for everything else that we do. Let's make sure that our employees are taken care of. Let's make sure that the products that we're making are quality so that our customers can enjoy them. Let's make sure that everyone is being treated fairly on both sides of the equation. This is always supposed to be something that happens in corporate America. And what's happened with Activision Blizzard is in the last 15 years under Bobby Kotick's watch, all of that moral part just went away. It became strictly what's legal and what's not. So if it's legal, or if we can get away with it because we have so much control over our employees that there's no way that they would possibly speak up and or do anything about what we're doing, let's just keep doing it. Because as long as it makes us money, that's all we care about. And so we had game after game that came out and is underwhelming, despite the fact it has the biggest budget, has the ginormous marketing campaign, and everyone's hyped up to play it. You play it, you're like, why is this game not that good? I don't understand. I just don't get it. This is why. Because this guy was the guy infamous for making the profits, not for putting out the good products. For overworking and mistreating the employees, not for having a happy workforce that then was happy to make the good product. You see? It's terrible. In a lot of ways, you can compare it to, say, like Walmart. Walmart came into American business and systematically destroyed all the companies around it that cared. All those little mom and pop shops, all those little local businesses that were putting out quality products were forgotten as Walmart rolled in with the big marketing campaign, the big smiling face, all the ads, and Walmart proceeded to put out subpar products. But they're cheap, so everyone would run out and buy them, but yet the employees are mistreated. There's tons of stories of mismanagement and awful things happening. Crime moves into cities as Walmart moves into cities, but that's okay because of money. The company makes tons of money, and that's all that matters, right? So that's essentially what it is you have a company that became all about the profits, not about the products or the well-being of the gaming culture, of gamers who buy the games, of the people who make the games. Bobby Kotick didn't give two fucks about any of that as long as the money rolled in. And now do you think he gives two fucks as he's getting paid $200 to $400 million to leave the company? No, he doesn't care about any of that. He's rolling out for the rest of his life. He doesn't have to do shit. He could literally sit on a lawn chair and never move until he dies. People will bring him shit. He can pay them to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he's got the ultimate fuck you money. And nothing can be done about that. Can you say that he's earned that? I don't know. Can you really say someone earned something by mistreating people? I don't believe that. You know, my philosophy is that in life, if you earn something, but you do it by not hurting people, then you've truly earned it. But if all you did was mistreat all the people around you, do things underhandedly, you know, that's not legit success. That's called, I got it by any means necessary and I crushed everyone around me. That's fucked up in my head. Like, I would never live my life like that. But there's tons of people out there that don't give a shit. And that's what we got to look out for. And that's kind of the textbook case of what Bobby Kotick was. Success by any means necessary. Doesn't matter if it's underhanded. Doesn't matter how we do it. As long as the shareholders' pockets are lined and he stays in power and makes the money, who gives two fucks about anything else, right? So you got a decade of bad games or underperforming games. Every once in a while, a little nugget of good stuff thrown in there. But even then, you got, for every Overwatch, you got an Overwatch 2. That's a piece of shit, right? So, it's pretty sad because you will almost never ever see these major companies actually do the right thing. It's like, how do you think a major corporation gets to the point where it is? Probably because they stepped on everybody else, not because they did it the right way. Very rarely. If you happen to work for a company that you get treated fairly, you're lucky. You have to understand that. I've been through this in the many different jobs that I've held, and I've been in retail, I've been in fast food, I've worked for a bank, I worked for a helicopter company. There hasn't been a single company in my life that actually treated me well. Or they would pretend like they were, and the next thing you know, when it benefits them, treat you like shit, or even toss you right out the door. That's corporate America. That's not how society's supposed to be. But that seems to be how things have become. So it's funny, because today people are rejoicing that Bobby Kotick is going out the door. But are you sure, really, that now that Xbox owns Activision Blizzard, that things will be any better? Because it could go two different ways. Actually, let me put it this way. It could go three ways. Number one, nothing whatsoever could happen at all. Meaning, someone new comes in and it's just business as usual. Everyone keeps being crunched and mistreated. Culture doesn't change. It's same old at Activision Blizzard. New name, new face, same day, no difference. That could be option number one. Okay? Option number two could be Microsoft comes in, takes control of the situation, assesses as a business what's wrong with Activision Blizzard, does continuous improvement analysis, and say, here's all our problems. Here, and here, we've had all these big problems with things that need to be fixed or improved. This is really what the problem was that Bobby didn't care about because the money kept rolling in. But if we improve this, and this, now we've got work-life balance for our employees. We can now make better products. We can focus in on the products that are going to work. We can have budget to actually expand into new things rather than just pumping out the same old shit every year with Call of Duty. Let's do this. Let's diversify. Let's do the right thing. That could happen. And if that happens, great. Or, sadly, if you want my true opinion, there's option three. And I think, sadly, what we're going to see is option three. Because this has already happened with other companies that Microsoft has bought out. It's called the hands-off approach. Okay? It's called, we buy the company, we supposedly put people in power of the company, but then what ends up happening is, they don't really do much at all, right? Like, for example, earlier this year, you had the same company that's made Deathloop and Dishonored and other games in the past that were outstanding put out Redfall. Okay? Redfall was literally released to be an unfinished dog shit mess. That game was not functional at launch. I watched my wife play it. There were vampires floating in the sky, and as you walked by, an invisible box would release the vampire and drop it down to the street, and it would go T-pose. And then you would walk by, and it would watch you like this. And then all of a sudden, it would launch. It's like, what the fuck? What is this game? How did you release it? And then when they interviewed Phil Spencer about it, he goes, maybe we should have paid a little bit more attention to that game in its development cycle and been a little bit more hands-on. Essentially, what he's saying is he didn't touch it at all. All they did was they told them they wanted it by a date, and that was it. They never actually followed up. They never checked to see if it was any good. They never actually made sure that the game was playable and or would want to be played by anyone. They just said, just release it by this date, and as long as you do, you're good. And they did, and it was broken, junky mess. What's funny is people who play it today actually say the game's not that bad. Like, if you play it today, apparently it's a very passable co-op looter shooter style game fighting vampires. The problem is no one cares about Redfall in December 2023. They cared about it back in, what was it, February, March when it released? That's when they wanted to play it because that was the release date. And first impressions are everything. So it doesn't matter if it's on Game Pass. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter what else. As long as that game was a piece of shit at launch, forever in people's minds, it will be a golden turd. No matter how much you shine it up and it looks better later, that's going to be what people think of it, It's very rare in this day and age when games get a second chance, like a Rainbow Six Siege or a No Man's Sky. Those are almost like the Cinderella stories, right? The game that was the underdog that sucked ass at launch and all of a sudden it comes back later. So, to me, all right, when I look at a situation like what's going on with Activision Blizzard, and I hear that Microsoft bought them out and people are rejoicing because Bobby Kotick's gone, this doesn't mean that this is like, oh my God, here comes the magical rainbows and the golden roads into Oz or anything like that. To me, it's like, we got work to do, right? Now you've got to get this company back into a way that makes sense, into a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, sadly, this is the beginning of a long process to build this company back to something great. And it's hilarious because I'm saying that about a company that always has the best-selling game of the year in Call of Duty, right? But they still need to build themselves back because they've become the company that pumps out half-finished junk or regurgitated crap for profit under Bobby Kotick. Now Microsoft has to mold that into a company that's going to make great games again, right? Again, they had a gold mine with Overwatch. They ran into the ground in Overwatch 2, like they ruined it. And that's Bobby Kotick. That's the Kotick effect. So what's next for that company? I don't know. But I'm not rejoicing that Kotick's gone like a lot of other people. I'm saying, all right, that's positive step 1. Now let's see step 2 through 10 to continue this process. Now, we've got them out. Okay, guys, go to work. And now everyone's like, huh? What do we do? And then they just make more subpar games, I certainly hope that that's not the case, and I certainly hope that things will get better at Activision Blizzard. But I wanted to analyze this from a more big perspective because so many people today are just analyzing it from a way of, this guy is a villain, right? We're glad he's out. Yeah, but why was he in power for so long, and why did no one out him until now? This is why. Because he was making so much money, and this is how corporate America works. It's based on money. Not on what's right, not on what's good, not on what's best for everyone, but what's best for a very small few who financially benefit. That's corporate America. It's pretty fucked up. And almost our entire country is dictated by this. These companies lobby to our politicians and pay them money to feel a certain way or campaign a certain way for the laws that would benefit them. And then our politicians make laws to help these giant companies. How the fuck does that work? That's our government. And now we're getting into politics, but I knew we would because that's really where the core of all this goes. Is we have a broken system in the United States, and that's how Activision Blizzard is how it is. So, anyway, that's enough of that because I'm not going to dabble too far into politics today. But that is the Bobby Kotick situation. All right, he's gone. Will he do something else? Probably. By the way, he sits on boards of other companies. So even though he's not the CEO of Activision Blizzard, he still has influence over the gaming industry and other tech industry as well. So don't think this is the end of him or we'll never hear from him again. I guarantee you we will. Alrighty then. Okay, guys. That's what I got for today. We're going to get to shout-outs now. Now, today, I'm doing a double stream day. Today is a more laid-back, chill streaming day. I have 2 goals in place. My goal number 1 is that by the end of today, I'd like to get back to 735 members. I say that because we were at that yesterday. In fact, we were around 737-ish, and then we lost a bunch overnight. So if we can get back to 735, that would be amazing. Please consider becoming a member today or maybe gifting some memberships to the community. If you're someone who likes the content, that's a great way to support it. Also, every stream I try to hit the tier 1 tips goal. It would be superb if we could hit that tier 1 tips goal today of $50 on this RoboCop stream that's coming after the level 1 podcast. So let's see how we do with that. But in the meantime, let's do some shout outs. Okay, we start off today with Sergio Lopez, who hit his 21-month anniversary as a member on the channel here and says, hey, Phil, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you very much, Sergio. I appreciate that. Happy upcoming New Year to you, and thank you for supporting the channel for so long, almost 2 years now. Excellent. Tips-wise, we have many to go through. We start off with an overnight tip of $3.64, and it's completely anonymous. Completely anonymous. So, thanks. Whoever that was, a $3.64 tip. I don't get the amount, but maybe it was a foreign currency or something that, you know, transferred over. It very well could be. So thank you very much for that. Awesome. Our first tip of the morning, meaning during this actual show. Hold on a second here. A $1.11 tip from an anonymous tipper. This is a request for Phil, number 41, to play Pizza Tower. So I guess this person has requested for me to play Pizza Tower before. So someone interested in Pizza Tower. I told you guys I would consider it as something coming up. If you guys were interested in seeing me try out this Pizza Tower game, I don't know much about it. For what I'm to understand, it started off as a PC game like last year. And stuff like, you know what I mean? I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens with timing and everything. I also don't know how long the game is or anything either. The thing is, I'm a lot more open to checking stuff out if you guys are interested. Maybe toss it in as a night stream one day, see if it's good, and then go from there. So if you want Pizza Tower, let me know. Someone tipped me $1 anonymously and says, Kotick has been CEO of Activision all the way since 1991, so why are people only just now complaining about him and not before? There's a combination of factors. I think we covered some of them, but to summarize, all right, culture has changed, okay? At one point, it was almost expected that you would be mistreated as an employee no matter where you worked. Things have changed. Things are trying to get better now. Culture as a society as a whole is saying, no, enough of that shit. It's time for us to stick up for each other's rights and make sure that people aren't abused at jobs. And Kotick is being exposed as one of the people who always abused everyone under him to get the almighty dollar for his company. Number two, the quality of the stuff putting out at Activision Blizzard has declined in the last 15 years. I don't think anyone could doubt that, like, originally when World of Warcraft came out, it was an insanely awesome dynamo of a game. Today, it's a shadow of its mere self. You could say the same thing about Call of Duty. You could say the same thing about Diablo. We could keep going on, that the company that once was great, a lot of the times is just riding on its laurels of the past and hasn't really put out a uniquely great product in some 15 years. Why? Is it because Kotick was in charge, is not inspired to do anything worthwhile anymore because he's just printing money for the shareholders? Yeah, probably. So maybe it is time to shake things up. If there was constant great new projects coming out of Activision Blizzard, right? And if the employees weren't complaining, I don't think anyone would care about Kotick still being CEO. Correct? So there's your answer. Is that things change over time. This guy essentially lost his way and became someone very different over time, which tends to happen. You know, you stay in power, you get complacent, and things or society changes and you don't want to change with it. Imagine if me today, sitting here on this stream, I decided to do the same kind of commentary that I did 15 years ago, saying things that today could be completely considered as racist or sexually abusive, right? Very sexist statements and things that I used to make. Imagine if I just did that today. Do you think I would still be on YouTube? No, I'd be banned and thrown off, correct? Like, let's be honest here. That stuff's just not allowed anymore. But why does Bobby Kotick get to still run the company the same way he did 25 years ago? Things change. You have to ride with the times and change to those times and adapt, or else you become a relic. Bobby Kotick is very much a relic of a past time who refused to step down or change because he was still printing money for the shareholders. So he was insulated from any kind of repercussions. You see? There's your answer. Okay. Continuing on. I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man. He says, not relevant for today's game. Keep Gale alive in Baldur's Gate 3 until Act 3, and then perhaps you can actually make use of his condition. Well, I appreciate you supporting and giving me a little bit more advice. I think we are so far away from Act 3 that we probably won't see that impact for quite some time. And in addition, I have no plans on having Gale die in the game anyway. I'm going to try to keep everyone alive for as long as I can until maybe I throw them into someone as a bomb or something. Which could be pretty interesting, actually. So I guess we'll find out. Anyway, thank you, 1 Minute Man, as always, for your support of all of my content. All right. Oh, by the way, hold on one second. Someone asked for an unban a few days ago, but I just keep forgetting about it. So I want to see if I can do it now. Because I just keep forgetting about the dang thing, and if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, I just did it. So to the person who wrote me on Friday and sent me your YouTube channel and said, hey, can I be unbanned? And I never got back to you. I just unbanned you. Okay? Sorry about that because I've been wrapped up in so much shit and I just saw the email in my email box. I'm like, all right, let me do it now. I'll literally never get to it if I don't. Okay? All right, I just did. Good, because now I can delete this email. Finally. Cool. Okay. Plato has done a $2 super chat and says Pizza Tower is good. The average playtime of the game is around 10 hours. All right, and you guys just said it's some kind of a unique platformer, right? Like it's a platformer action game with puzzle elements or something like that, I believe. So again, it's something that I would consider. Again, if you guys think it's something that I should toss in and play at some point. Again, I'm not against trying anything either, so let me know. Share with me. I got another tip here. I received a, let's see here, a $1.45 tip from an anonymous, it's this anonymous suggestion style contribution. They said, a political style podcast would be more interesting than old lost media. It's not like you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Okay, again, I have to emphasize a couple things. Number one, if I'm going to do anything new, it takes away from the stuff that I'm already doing. Okay? I can tell you right now, I already have a couple things in the works for 2024. Okay? And some of these might be time consuming. So because of this, I would not be comfortable launching an entire new style of content or a whole new channel. As much as you say the lost media isn't as interesting, you're right. That's the lost media thing is interesting to those who follow me for a long time, or maybe you're interested in seeing old content that hasn't been visible for 15 years or whatever. But it's also not going to take so much of my time up that now I can't do my normal job. Do you understand? Like, this is something that I can try to squeeze in between. If every night I'm uploading a few videos behind the scenes, and maybe someone works on thumbnails and somehow find a way to edit these videos together to make them more digestible than just 10 minutes, and maybe rebranding or creating a new channel, but it's not a huge hoopla of, you know what I'm saying? That's different than say, guess what? DS Politics. Now every day, come to this channel and we do politics like this, and it's a brand new show podcast, and I have to wedge this into the schedule of the gaming and everything else that I'm doing and stuff like that. Do you see the difference? I'm not saying that I don't think that the political thing would eventually work. I think it would. All right? But it has to be the right time at the right place with the right amount of resources and the right amount of stuff going on, and I just don't feel like right now is the time. Okay? Just being honest. I don't think so. I think it's coming, perhaps, in a while, but I don't think right now makes any sense whatsoever. There are too many people right now that if they don't agree with you politically on a stance, they hate your guts. Like right now, if I came out and I said, I'm completely for or against this political issue, some people might say, I'm never watching Phil again. Bye-bye. Can't take him. That's it. I'm done. I will never watch his gameplay ever again. Right? And I'm not ready for that right now. Right now, my gameplay is essentially my bread and butter, right? It is these gameplay streams, these elements. People support the streams. I can't have people going crazy. You know what I mean? And the thing is, as I told you guys, I am not left or right at all. And because of that, I feel like there's potential that a lot of people might not agree with or like my takes on stuff, because so many people right now are polarized either left or right. If I'm not in agreement with either side, everyone hates me, right? So I think that I will probably eventually get into it. As I said, I'm getting older. I'm 41 years old. I'm going to be 42 sooner rather than later, right? My hand is getting carpal tunnel. I know it for a fact. I can feel the tenseness in the muscles, the pain. I can feel all this. It's happening, all right? Eventually, I'm not going to be able to focus solely on playing video games all the time. I tried a transition this year into reacting. I'll be honest with you guys, it hasn't worked that well. We were doing the long-form reacts. Everyone complained I wasn't doing enough gaming. So then I reduced the amount of reacting I did to the 1 day a week to do the react show, and now people say, oh, well, I don't care about the react show. So it's like, so I can't win, right? No matter what I do, either I do full-time gaming Or I diversify, which is what people say they want, but then I want to diversify, they complain there's not enough gaming. I can't clone myself. That's really the problem. People want more of me, but I can't clone myself. I can't work more than I do now already. I'm already overworked to the point where I don't spend enough time with my family and things get left by the wayside. I can't work more. It's just not possible. All right? So we'll see in the future. But I tell you right now, no, I don't feel like we're in a situation where we can do politics right now. You know what I'm saying? Okay, fair enough. I hope that makes sense. Okay, thank you for the tip, by the way. All right, so guys, we got a little bit of extra time. As always, usually when we get to this part of the show, there's a little bit of extra time here on the tail end. So if you guys have any topics you want to talk about, if you want to ask me a question, tag me in the chat. I'd be open to discussing stuff with you, all of you. Casanova says, do I have any New Year's resolutions? As I said, it's not for me like I have resolutions. It's just like new things for the new year, right? So I told you I have a few fresh new ideas and things going on that likely will affect things in a pretty significant way next year. But I'm not going to spoil them yet till I'm ready to really talk about them. I'm just not yet. I'm not that far along where I can give you any details on this stuff. So I will get there, but not yet. So that's really my focus. But the thing is, like I said, what's the one thing I could talk about right now is likely this whole lost media deal. I want to commit to at least doing something with that this coming year. All right? But outside of that, I'm not ready to really tackle anything else. Euphoric Jokers, am I considering pre-ordering digital deluxe edition for Suicide Squad? Fuck no. Just do politics. It'll get YouTube views. Yes, but again, you have to understand something. At what cost? It's not, for me, and this is ultimately what really has made me very, very different from other people who've done this over the last 10, 15 years and do it for a living. There's so many people who have done what they said, this is just necessary, this is what's popular, I'll change and I'll do it, right? I'm one of the holdouts who still is fully covering video games. You understand that, right? Most of the people who cover video games also have to do politics, they have to do news, they have to do drama, they have to do all that shit, and I don't do the vast majority of things that the big wigs do, but I still succeed. Still here, still running a successful business, right? Why? You can argue many different things. You can argue that's because I've been around for so long and I have a legacy audience. You can argue it's because so many people cover me for drama purposes that I get more viewership and or attention than most other people. There's a million factors you can argue here, right? But if I change my entire business for popularity, I'm sacrificing everything that I've built for 15 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right now, I could easily open up a political channel and immediately every day do a political show for an hour and a half. And I can tell you right now what would happen is all of the attention on my gaming stuff would decline dramatically. People would be like, oh, that's it. You know, he's doing what everyone else is doing on YouTube. He's jumped the shark. You know, and I'll get views on the political stuff. Don't get me wrong. And in fact, I might even blow up a little bit in popularity at the time, right? But number one, that's just fleeting. It's not going to last. And number two, it's at the expense of everyone who has supported me over the last 15 years, which I don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. That's not me. Never has been me. I could have done that years ago. I saw the trends. Are you crazy? I saw all the trends on YouTube 10, 15 years ago and how to be big and how to make money. All the things that guys like Turkey Tom say, a decade of failure. No, it's called a decade of avoiding being like everyone else because I didn't want to be a fucking sellout like everybody else. I wanted to march to the beat of my own drum and do things differently, and I'm successful at doing that. A lot of people don't understand that because they just can't wrap their heads around the fact that, again, life isn't just about this, right? So, no, I don't want to sacrifice everything I've done for 15 years for the sake of instant gratification, which might not even be long-lasting, right? Euphoric Joker says, do you think Suicide Squad will have an interesting, groundbreaking story because it's Rocksteady? Do I think the story will be at least good? Yeah, I do, actually. When you look at the story cutscenes that Rockstar has put out, they don't look bad. It's as soon as it turns to the gameplay that it looks terrible, right? So there you go. Plumber who fixes leaks said he loved the community fight nights I did over the summer. Are there any community-based games that I'm planning on playing? I don't know. I don't know how Tekken will work. I really haven't done any research. I don't know if they'll have a lobby system where you could play against other people. I guess we'll see. I would say that would be the next thing, right? The Drew Corporation says a quick glow-up is not worth the blow-up, as they say. There you go. What's up, X-Shooter? How are you today? Good to see you here. Would I ever go back to King of Fighters 15? Hell no. Why on earth would I do that? That game, just the core gameplay elements are awful. I don't think that would be fun, No Sleeper Vibes. I just think a game where it's all, let's get one hit. Oh, look, the round's over. Okay, well, I don't want to play anymore. The game sucks. Exactly. Skeleton Potato says, how on earth could you make a groundbreaking story for Suicide Squad? It's an established story. You can't just make twists in it, but nothing too amazing. Hence, what I've said, right? What I've been saying is very simply, you can't keep making Suicide Squad content. Suicide Squad was always a B, C, D team in the DC universe. It was meant to be that, like almost like a what if scenario. You know how Marvel does what if or whatever? That's kind of what it was. It's like, what if villains were put together, forced to be heroes, yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't supposed to be something that had insane longevity. It was just meant to be kind of an oddity. And then all of a sudden, people got their claws into it, and now it becomes, oh, this has to be like a mainstream plot line in the DC universe. And it has to be something that's amazing, that everyone loves. No, it's not. You've already beaten this dead horse a million times with 2 movies that failed, right? Why are we still going? We even had a spin-off movie, Birds of Prey, that failed. You have 3 failed movies. What makes you think a video game's going to succeed? There's not enough there when it comes to the idea of Suicide Squad to make something riveting. With Batman, there's endless content. With the Suicide Squad, there's not. It's just, I'm sorry, they screwed up. They chose the wrong subject matter for this game because they were going into the games as a service model, banking on it being profitable. And what happened? The games as a service model has flopped. Starting with Avengers and every other game after. So they boned themselves by choosing the wrong subject matter and designing the wrong kind of game. And at this point, they've developed it so far, they can't fix that. I don't see how it's going to be redeemed, quite frankly. No Super Real Vibes is asking about the juggle system in Tekken and what I think about it. Do you think there's a way that you should be able to negate it? The way I see it is that the juggles have became a giant part of Tekken, really between Tekken 3, Tekken 4, but really prominently Tekken 4, Tekken 5, where you would go for that one little juggle counter hit, and the next thing you know, not only are you getting a juggle combo on you, but then you could get wall bounce, and that's a whole new game. Then if you're trying to get up off the ground, there's mix-ups there. And the game basically became a lot about that at that point, and that's when I stopped playing the game seriously. So then when I try to jump into games like Tekken 6, 7, or 8, and I'm like, oh my god, like, there's characters solely based on hit me for once and then the giant juggle. I don't even know how to get out of this shit, right? Should there be a way out of it easily? Maybe not all the time. Like, if someone really hits you with a counter hit juggle, they should be rewarded for timing that counter hit correctly, right? But at the same time, should it always be a situation where if you get hit by one launcher, that now the round's over? No. Maybe the game should have like a combo breaker kind of a deal, similar to how they've had in Killer Instinct or Guilty Gear. I forget what it's called, Burst in that one. Or even recently, I think Mortal Kombat 1 had one combo breaker per game, right? So something like a mechanic like that. So just because someone gets one lucky hit in, it doesn't necessarily make it a situation where you lose the entire game, or you're in a situation where you're at a monstrous disadvantage for the entire round. Maybe. But, you know, again, I haven't really followed Tekken. Maybe there are ways around it, and I'm just not aware of it because I'm not any kind of a top player at that. Abdullah, I don't know anything about Eagle Claw Kung Fu fighting style, nor do I have a personal favorite simply because I'm not into that kind of culture. But, you know, I saw the Drunken Monk Jackie Chan movies, which are pretty fun. The more he drinks, the crazier he gets fighting, and no one can hit him and stuff. That's pretty funny. I'll see you tonight, Derek. Sounds good. See you for Like a Dragon. Yeah, that's right. Jackie Chan is the drunken master. You know, he does all his own stuff, so you gotta wonder, was he probably wasn't really drinking when he filmed those movies, right? But can you imagine, like, he had to keep, like, chugging water and shit during the scenes? It's like, ugh. Because you know how many takes he probably had to do for those movies? So he's fighting, and by the way, all the makeup to make him look like he's drunk and shit. He's like, oh, trying to do this crazy shit. That guy is a fucking crazy ass. I mean, you want to talk about, like, people in cinema over the years who, like, are, like, the true masters. Like, not only can he be a very good actor, he's an insane stunt and martial artist. Like, that guy needs to get, like, an insane, like, honorary thing when he's done acting, when he officially decides he's done, right? Like, he needs to get, like, one of the biggest presentations ever for the longevity he's had and the amount of work he's done and the crazy shit. It's just wild what he's done. I already played the Granblue fighting game. Don't you remember? I played it. We bought it and played it. I played it for like maybe less than a month or around a month. People were so bored with it within that time. I was liking it and wanted to play it more, and people were just tuning out and basically said to me that they weren't interested anymore. So don't play it. So I stopped. That's what I mean. Like, you guys don't understand. When it comes to fighting games, I lost my core audience a long time ago. I know I did. When I was playing Street Fighter 4, I had that core audience that were very into fighting games, so I could play Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition, the Marvel vs. Series game. And they all got views. Everyone was excited. And then what happened was, Street Fighter 5 came out. And I was hyped for it when it came out. It was dog shit. And I didn't want to play it. So you're talking a 7-year span where essentially I only casually covered fighting games. I would play the new Mortal Kombat for a few weeks, drop it. Play the new Injustice for a few weeks, drop it, right? So because of that lack of longevity, people went away. So now you're asking me not only to play a fighting game that is not going to get mainstream attention on my channel, but you're also asking me to play a niche of a mainstream fighting game that's an anime style that has, you know, Grand Blue Fantasy versus. That's like a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of my audience is interested in that. I did try it. I listened and I did try it, and it did not work. So. Okay. Any last thoughts, anyone? Any questions or comments before we adjourn the show? And then we jump back into RoboCop. Remember, we're in the middle of an action-packed segment in RoboCop. For over a week, this playthrough has been waiting for me to get back to it. Right? Euphoric Joker says, maybe 2024 will be the year I play Arkham Knight again. Maybe. If there's a real reason to, perhaps. You know? It's not a bad game. It wasn't as good as Arkham City, which is a shame. It was supposed to be the end of the trilogy, and it just wasn't as good as Arkham City, you know? Ooh. No, I know that Jackie Chan wasn't the drunken master, but the whole story of the movies was that he was learning that style. He was drinking and utilizing that style. Remember that he would actually drink, and all of a sudden he would have these movements where he would be dodging like the master, and he utilized it at the end of, like, I remember like the final giant fight scene of the movie where he keeps drinking and getting better at fighting as he drinks, which is insane. Regular or electric toothbrush? I have never owned or used an electric toothbrush. The closest I ever had is the one that has the battery in it, right? And you press the button and it shakes, and you brush while it shakes. But I've never had like an actual electric toothbrush you charge and it rotates and all of that shit. I never had anything like that. So. Yes, E Honda was always a pain to fight in older titles because he's incredibly basic. The thing with E Honda and Street Fighter, if you know how to beat him and you know the matchups for your character, he's simplistic to beat. But you need to know the matchup because E Honda can play in a very basic defensive way and basically get away with stuff if you don't know how to stop him. Like, for example, basic zoning with fireballs and or keep away pretty much beats Honda. But if he gets in on you and he's in your face and now you don't really know how to fend him off, that's a giant problem. So Honda's always been one of the annoying characters. He's never really top tier, but he's always one of those characters that can thwart you. For example, Evo 2007? No, Evo 2007. Evo East 2007. In the finals when I was facing Seth Killian, okay? He was beating my DJ and my Balrog. And I said, I'm going to mix it up. And I picked Honda, and I beat him a game or two with Honda. He just threw him for a loop. Then he remembered, oh yeah, now this is how you beat Honda. And as he beat my Honda, I switched back to my other character, and I won. You see? He's kind of like that character you can throw in there to kind of throw a monkey wrench into plans. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for a great podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're in the last stretch. Tomorrow will officially be the final Level 1 podcast of 2023. It's been a hell of a year. This was the first year ever that I had a whole year of the Level 1 podcast, if you remember. Previously, it was the pre-stream podcast and then changed to the Level 1 podcast in the middle. This is the first year ever. It's the whole year of the Level 1 podcast. It's been a great year. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Tomorrow, New Year's Eve, we're going all out. I will be drinking profusely all day long. I will be... Okay, probably not. That's probably not happening. Okay, but I wish you all the best. I hope that you'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about how far I got in the games today, if we beat them or if we got close to the end. And and we'll go from there. Thank you all. I appreciate you hanging out with me on the Level 1 podcast today. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.